Now to our spotlight on an inspiring woman who's making a difference in the lives of others with her relentless pursuit for their freedom. Latahra Smith's son, Brian, was charged with capital murder in Texas back in 2008. But Latahra knew her son was innocent and wasn't getting a fair shake. So she took action and did the investigative work, which eventually led to her son's charges being dropped. Since then, Latahra's organization, the KC Freedom Project, an organization she founded, has been the voice for the wrongfully convicted by helping to uncover the truth of their innocence. I'm thrilled to have her join me tonight from Kansas City. Latahra Smith, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Listen, I read your backstory, and to say it's fascinating, it would be an understatement. You know, instead of watching the state of Texas prosecute your son for a crime he didn't commit and relying on his attorney to help prove his innocence, you took matters into your own hands by essentially doing the work of both law enforcement and defense lawyer, and that helped clear Brian of all charges. Take us back to 2008. Clearly, you were a mother who was worried for her son, but what prompted you to get involved in his case?
Yes. Well, actually, you know, like any mother, you don't want to receive a call at 3 o'clock in the morning from your child where he's saying he's been arrested. And that happened to my son. Just taken back, you know, being a single mother with, you know, limited finances and resources. You know, the first thing I began to think is, you know, how am I going to help my son in this situation? At that time, we were living in Collin County, Texas, and you know, right next to Dallas, and McKinney, Texas, actually, where this case came up. And it was devastating for me to get that call and then have to deal with the process that came along with trying to help my son. He was appointed a public defender, and you know, it just things were not happening, things were not going well, and I knew as a mom I was going to have to do something, and that's when I decided to you know, switch and take up paralegal studies and then begin to fight for my son from there.
You know, as a criminal defense attorney myself, you know, you'd get the calls every day from concerned family members who want to know the status of their loved one's case. Sometimes they'll hit you with, hey, I did a Google search, you know, which was really frustrating for me as the attorney, because I'm like, I went to law school. I understand this stuff. I understand the law. I got it. But how receptive was your son's attorney in receiving your help?
Well, my son's attorney actually was receptive at all. He actually did nothing the entire case. I was following my son's case. I forget what it's called in Texas, but here in Missouri it's called CaseNet, where you can actually track what's going on with someone's case. So I was looking at that, and I could see that no motions, not anything was being filed on his behalf. I mean, there wasn't even a motion for his discovery filed for his attorney. And so what I did is I began to create a paper trail by emailing the attorney and asking him, you know, I established a power of attorney so that he would be able to contact me and, you know, speak to me, and there wouldn't be a client confidentiality issue. He couldn't use that as an excuse. And he just outright would not communicate with me. And eventually what I ended up doing was, you know, I took paralegal classes, and the first motion that I ever drafted was a motion called Motion to Dismiss and Replace Counsel. And I took that down to the Collin County Jail, had my son sign it, and then I turned it into the court. You know, God gave my son favor. He removed the public defender and replaced my son's attorney with a lady by the name of Angela Tucker. And Angela Tucker actually now is the first African-American female judge in Collin County, Texas. And Angela is the attorney who came on to my son.
That is crazy, because I actually did practice before Angela Tucker. She's a phenomenal judge in Collin County, so that's small world. So I understand why she made a difference. But tell me this, because it's very rare for a court to just remove an attorney, especially one that's appointed, and appoint another one. When you did file that motion, it was successfully done, and you know, the judge gave you a substitute counsel, your son a substitute counsel. Where did you then start? Because I mean, for you to take the time to go through training to be a paralegal, that took some time, and obviously your son had to sit in jail waiting for his case to go to court. Where did you even know where to start in your investigation into your son's case?
You know, me, myself, I didn't know where to start. I was doing a lot of praying and a lot of fasting, asking the Lord to guide me. And that is exactly what the Lord did. He guided me step by step in what to do for my son. And I followed of the Holy Spirit and went for it. And everything did end up being very successful in my son's case. I mean, I got out there, I located witnesses. I mean, I just had to get out there and do it, because had I not would be sitting right now in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice serving without parole. We're not seeking the death penalty. They were seeking life without parole. And I just wasn't going to let my baby go down like that, because I knew that my son was innocent. And they knew. The McKinney Police Department, they knew that my son was innocent. They knew that. And, you know, when I saw that his attorney was not doing things that he should have done, I filed against his license. I filed complaints against him. And eventually, as a result of those complaints, his attorney was dismissed. So I had to fight, you know, and that's what I tell family members to do. Fight for your loved ones. If you get out there and you've got to fight, if you don't know how to do something, do it. Your baby, that's your loved one. And no one's going to fight for them like you. So.
No, that's definitely the truth. Listen, I was going to ask you, what was the actual piece of evidence or pieces of evidence that eventually acquitted your son?
Well, the charge, and let me say this, he was originally charged with second-degree murder. And it wasn't until Angela Tucker got on the case and went and visited my son, when Angela Tucker was appointed, that's when we found out, approximately 2 years after my son had been sitting in the county, that he was it upgraded from second to capital murder. And we had no idea until Angela Tucker came on and gave me a call. And I can tell you what I end up doing is I had to just break things down. You know, I had to do some research on the victim, contact that were in the victim's life before who had some of these same problems with the victim, you know, not being truthful, being the aggressor. It was really an issue of a self case, but because this individual was pregnant, she was about 9 weeks pregnant, I believe. She miscarried a baby, but I was able to find information and get a hold of hospital documents that showed she was already having an issue with threatening the miscarriage. And the prosecution knew this, but instead of acknowledging this, they shoved it to the side. And by the grace of God, I was able to find that information. And I actually went in jury hearing myself and stood before everyone and presented information and evidence. And, just a combination of all the prosecution decided. And then when Angela Tucker got on the case, they knew that Miss Tucker was to be reckoned with. So, they weren't dealing with this public defender that wasn't doing anything. Angela was the public defender, but Angela was a good public. And they knew they had a fight along with Angela being there, and then the things that I was able to find as well.
Well, listen, talk about, with the few minutes that I have left, I want to get into your organization that now is the voice for a lot of those that are sitting in prison right now for a crime that they didn't commit. Talk about the mission of your organization and also about Keith Carnes. That's a case we covered here on the show, and bring us up to speed about his case.
Well,
we lost her audio. Latahra, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Can you bring us up to speed on the case that you're working on with Keith Carnes, and also what your organization is doing currently for others around the country?
Yes, well, I established the Casey Freedom Project to advocate for those who are innocent and wrongly convicted. And the first gentleman, the first that I ever assisted was Keith Carnes. I started Mr. Carnes' case approximately 8.5 years ago, and it took us a while. But during that process, I ended up getting my investigator's license, became a licensed investigator, and just really dug deep Carnes' case and was able to find just tons of newly discovered evidence in the case. And that resulted in Mr. Carnes being appointed a special master by the Missouri Supreme Court, having a 3-day indenture hearing, and tons of things that were never brought forward, and uh, you know, uh, you a constitutional violation actually. And right now at this point, what we're waiting for is the official date that Mr. Carnes will be released, either pending a new trial due to the Brady violation or exactly the overturn of the case. So we're waiting for that word down from the Missouri Supreme Courts.
Listen, Latahra, it ain't easy, but you are truly doing the people's work, and we thank you for it. Thank you so very much for coming on the show. I appreciate your time.